You're watching Fox 17 News, Nashville in Focus.
Happy Sunday morning, everybody. I'm Scott Couch. So glad to have you with us. Of course, we've been rainy for the last several days. However, today the sun's going to shine, and your sunshine begins with our program. I have invited the sunshine, and we're going to shine on you. A lot to talk about. 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. Let me introduce everybody. Steve Gill, attorney, political analyst, publisher of TriStar Daily, a conservative website, tristardaily.com. Jasper Hendricks, right next to him, Democratic strategist, chair of the Metro Fair Board. Victoria Pierce, right across the hall, a Republican activist, and right next to her, Kenya Magruder, Nashville native. I always like to say that because there's so few. You know, everybody's moved in from somewhere else, and a Democratic strategist who's worked on all sorts of campaigns and for lots of politicians, including in D.C. Guys, speaking of D.C., we've got a good race going on, 7th District Congressional race. We got 2 people that are trying to replace Mark Green up in Congress, and there's really hadn't been a whole lot to talk about in this race until this past week when a 5-year-old podcast comment made by State Representative Aftyn Behn, who was the Democratic nominee in the race, in which she says, I guess she's saying, what's going on in your life? You know, very busy. She says, I'm very actively involved in the national mayor's race. And she said, because I hate Nashville, I hate bachelorettes, I hate pedal taverns, hate country music, and blah, 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 blah. And she initially didn't say anything about it. Her campaign said, look, the Republicans are just bringing this up because they know that we are gaining on them. You're a native Nashvilleian. You may hate some of those things too, but this was her podcast, and she didn't deny she said it. You can't deny she said it. It's my podcast, and there I am talking about it. Your thoughts?
My thoughts is that Aftyn is 35 years old, so 5 years ago she made some comments in a growing city. I mean, when you go downtown, it's a whole lot going on, and it's easy to hate travel. The taverns, bachelorettes all over the place, but they also feed our economy. And so
you always mention that whenever you're on the show. You talk about the downtown.
They do feed the economy,
yeah.
And so I'm quite sure, now she sees it in a different light, particularly as a state representative and now candidate for Congress. So therefore, she just has to, own it and keep it moving. I mean, basically, they're trying to pull straws here because they can't find anything else to talk about. So, voters continue to keep voting. Over 9,000 people have voted as of Friday, and we thank you, and we hope that you'll continue to get out to vote.
That's pretty good. I looked at the early voting numbers on the Secretary of State's website. I didn't do it on Friday night. I think I last looked Thursday, and there was like 34, almost 35,000. Jasper, you get a second bite at the apple as a Democrat. And we talked to a couple of African-American guys, just ran into them at the polling place and said, hey, did you hear about this? What did you think? Just coincidentally, they happen to both be African-American men, and they had opposite takes. What's yours? What do you see?
I mean, I just see that, again, it was 5 years ago. I mean, we're going to pull up things that people said, and also from a podcast that we don't know what the full context could have been. We don't know if, if she said this to help, improve some things. Because I know since I've been here in Nashville, I've heard Nashville leaders say similar things, and, when you're trying to change things and things are growing, people will say, oh, they are resentful at some of the change and some of the growth because they like old Nashville. And she could have been talking about she liked old Nashville. She likes small Nashville, which are some of the things that people are sort of coming after me about, start making some changes, and so.
You got rid of my rotiers, and I just don't have this whole thing.
Right. But it's, but again, you're talking about something that is not really relevant, to this race. Right now, people are, again, seeing higher grocery prices. People are losing jobs. Here in Tennessee, we have numbers of companies that have announced that they're laying off or getting rid of jobs. What are we going to do? Who's going to be the representative that works with state government to bring jobs here, to bring resources back to the district? That's the conversation we should be having instead of, this. And in other places, we've seen where this typically didn't work for the Republicans. You know, they tried this in Virginia, pulling a 4-year-old tweet from a candidate that was running for Attorney General. Not only did that person win Attorney General, but the person who leaked the tweet lost their House seat. You know, and so
backfired,
people,
you're saying.
yeah, so it's sort of backfired. Now, I'm not going to say that's going to necessarily happen here because the numbers in this district are seemingly overwhelmingly, you know, lean towards, you know, Republicans, you know, but, you know, I mean, everywhere we've seen where they've tried this, instead of, and it's interesting, the Republicans have stopped talking about the economy, but they want to now start talking about people's past and what people, you know, have said or done in the past. But they're no longer talking about the economy.
Yeah, I haven't heard Van Epp say anything about it. And to her credit, Aftyn Behn did address it.
She did address
on social media on Thursday night. I don't know, 7 o'clock, something like that.
I think she did it on wrangling time.
And she said, no, I don't hate Nashville.
Yeah.
And you know, one would, hate's a strong word.
Who wouldn't say that when they're running for Congress in the district? I think.
Well, she's been representing Nashville in the state house for the last few years.
Sure.
So you're going to run for a place. You're going to run
while
and represent.
Hating.
You know, right? While secretly hating,
Right.
You're working to help improve and working to do things for the city.
Okay. But unfortunately, I think this is a big point, and I think that people, especially in Nashville, this is going to hurt them. If there was a Republican, let's say Van Epp's, he said this, it would be a red flag for me, and I am
First
the
of all,
Republican.
Van Epp doesn't live in Nashville, and he probably really can't.
What
tell
I'm
you
saying,
anything
going
about
back
what's
to
going
this,
on in
was she
Nashville either.
literally repeated hate, hate, hate numerous times. When it's like Nashville is what's bringing in the tourism. It's what's bringing in the wealth into our state, bringing in.
I don't want to leave.
Wrap up?
No. I don't want to leave this topic. In fact, I'm going to have a whole other segment. I'm just going to take a break, and we're going to pick it up right here. You're watching Nashville in Focus, and this very topic will be top of the board when we come back.
You're watching Fox 17 News, Nashville in Focus.
We're back talking about the 7th district race. You don't know how bad I hated to break your momentum and your flow. Take the baton back.
Take the baton back.
Yeah, go right ahead.
No, I am just saying, I think it is alarming. And when all of these things that's going on in Nashville are bringing in tourism, is bringing our state money. And to say that you hate all of that, the bachelorettes are bringing in money. Our sports, the new stadiums, that's bringing in money. And to be have such fury against it just 5 years ago, that is a big red flag.
So you're not going to vote for her.
But we don't know. But we don't know. But we don't know if it was
conversation.
fury or if it was laughing and joking.
I've heard
But it could be laughing.
Yes.
It could be just stating fact again.
I will send you the link so you
people
can
talk about.
listen to
But
it.
my point is, people say this all the time.
I know.
I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
I hate all these bachelorettes coming out. You know,
I'm just
in the
gonna
city
share it so
riding
you can hear it
around.
in context.
Right,
All
like,
this is
it-
clickbait. It's basically getting what they wanted. We're still talking
It's
about
fun to talk about it. I want to let Steve have a chance. Is this going to hurt her? I mean, that's the main thing. Does it really hurt you, or is this just a blip?
First of all, if she had just targeted the rolling hot tub alone, I would have agreed with her completely, and we got rid of that, fortunately. Second, I think it shows a little bit of a disconnect, not only from Nashville, but the district, and she is completely disconnected from the rural areas of this district. But the fact that she referred to them as bachelorettes instead of woo girls shows she doesn't really know what she's talking about on this topic. I don't think it's going to hurt her dramatically. I think those that were leaning against voting for her probably are more likely to turn out, and this is a turnout race. The early voting through the end, as we head into the weekend, is about 40,000 total votes, about 10,000 in Davidson County, about 25%, about 10,000 out of Montgomery County, about 25%. Now in Williamson County, their numbers ticked up the last couple of days because they opened a new satellite location in Fairview. So you've seen Republican numbers there tick up. It's about 12% or so of the, about 8% of the total turnout. So you're going to see more of that. There is a huge geographic, in addition to the calendar disadvantage that Republicans have in a turnout race, because in most of these counties, you have to go to the county seat to vote. There aren't
Some counties only have one
locations.
place.
In Davidson, there's 6 satellite locations that have been in operation.
Which helps
So
us.
Yes,
that
it
helps
does.
the Democrats dramatically. We'll see if those rural districts turn out and actually drive all the way to the county seat.
I hope so. And we should tell people early voting goes through the 26th. The election is on December the 2nd, and we're always talking about it on this program. It's so important that you get out and vote. In fact, Kamala Harris was here the other day, had a kind of a pop-up event where she, appeared with Aftyn, and her big message was, don't lose your power, use your voice, vote. vote. Were you? Yeah, I didn't hear you were there. But you knew about it.
I did know about it. I was not at the rally. I actually paid
knew a
my
couple
money
people
and
that were
went
there.
to the
Yeah.
book tour event, which was a great event.
How was that?
That was great.
Yeah.
It was fabulous.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of energy.
She signed your book?
She signed
Yep.
my book. Jasper and I both were there.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was.
You all acknowledge one another.
It
when
was
you're out.
it was a huge. I mean, it was a sold out crowd. It sold out. The event sold out before it was even open
This
to
is
the
the
public.
bookstore or the Opry?
The book signing.
Okay.
At the Ryman. It was at the
thing.
Ryman Auditorium.
Okay, right there.
And it was sold out, so it was completely packed.
Did she go to Tootsie's?
There was a lot of energy.
Right
I
across
don't know,
the hall.
but she was here. But she spent the night and she hung out in Nashville the following day as
And
well.
she took picture with the BNA staff the next day.
Oh,
on her
that's
way,
so cool.
Yeah, on her way out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she, not only her, but the chair of the DNC, has been here. The vice chair of the DNC is here on
Yeah.
Friday. In Clarksville. So there are a lot of, there's a lot of energy, a lot of movement to see what we can do. And it's really all about turning out to vote and making sure that people, start exercising the right
That's
to vote.
what it's about.
And even though this could be just for practice for next year, we have to start conditioning people that it's okay to vote. You have to vote, in Tennessee, because Tennessee has the worst voter turnout in the country.
It's abysmal. Guys, let's shift to another issue. Memphis State Task Force. This last week, Nashville judge ruled that what the governor had done with our National Guard troops there, unconstitutional, said you can't use them that way, not the stated purpose. Steve, what do you think is going to happen to the legal challenge? I'm asking you first, not only because you went last time, but you're also an attorney.
Pat Moskal, who's the chancellor, did this ruling from here in Nashville, is ruling on what should go on in Memphis. I think when you look at the specific language she was ruling on, she's on pretty good grounds. The governor can change the reasoning of sending them there to fit the guidelines of what it requires. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to make some changes into what they're declaring is the situation in Memphis.
So new
to
marching
justify
orders.
it. And let's look at the results. They've rounded up really bad guys. They've found lost children. They've rounded up guns, guys with guns that are illegally holding them. The results should be taken into consideration as well. And I think folks in Memphis can now go to Beale Street with a lot more confidence and safety.
Sure. Do you hear any comments? Because I know you went over there right before this started. You worked with the local Democrats on if they're going to come, let's ask them to do this. I haven't heard a ton of complaints where anybody's being mistreated.
Well, no, and that's the whole point. It's like, if you're going to come to the city, be helpful to the police, because that's what the mayor has been asking for. Everyone has been asking for help, but the governor and the state legislature has not been helpful.
Have these guys been helpful?
And so yes, because they're providing extra resources to the police department and to the law enforcement there that have been trying to do their jobs, but they've not been given the proper resources. I mean, you have where the state says, oh, well, we put in $100 million for anti-violence programs, but it's a reimbursement program. That means you got to spend $170 million in order to get the money. And how is that helping?
I hate it when companies do that.
Right.
I'll pay you back, but you got to share.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they've been asking for help. It's not like people don't want to live in crime. People want to be safe. People and the leaders want to provide safe communities for their citizens, but they needed help. But this will be overturned, probably just like Washington D.C. has been overturned. Portland has been overturned. California has been overturned because there's a proper way to do things. And I think that's what the courts are saying. There's a proper way.
Those are also, though, district court judges, and as it moves through the Court of Appeals,
It's all
Supreme
federal.
Court, that
It's
all
all federal.
Yeah, but
I've
there's
got to
still the
squeeze in
trial
a break,
level,
guys. I
and
hate
that's
to.
gonna get
We'll be right
overturned.
back. The show continues right after this.
You're watching Fox 17 News, Nashville in Focus.
A lot of ground to cover, shifting topics again. The ACLU filed a lawsuit this past week on behalf of some parents in Tennessee challenging the governor's school voucher program, where private schools' tuition money gets paid for by you, the taxpayer. Your thoughts? This has not been super popular in a lot of circles, and now it's being challenged in court.
I think since this has happened, it has been one issue after another with these vouchers. And I think it's going to be, I don't really know what's going to happen with this, but I just feel like this whole voucher thing has been so very in the gray this whole time. And I think it keeps getting appealed, or it goes to court, or it's, people keep having an issue with this. I think there hasn't been good guidelines on how this can work. I do believe in the voucher program, and I think it's a good idea. It just kind of feels like it's been haphazard.
Now, that's not an opinion I suspect your hallmate is going to share. Yeah, you're not crazy about the voucher system. We've talked about it before.
I mean, no, as a private school kid, I thought this was a bad bill. This does not help out our kids in education, and it sure does not help out our budget, which we are about to get into in January with no money. However, I do believe that the holes and the problems, they're about to get tested out. People still have a lot of questions. You have people who are not getting it here in Davidson County. We are under 3 different voucher programs.
That is an issue.
So, you know, and this is less money on this one. So I'm looking forward to paying attention to this case and to see how we can maybe defeat this.
Interesting, one of the ways that they challenged it is citing our own Constitution and what it says we should do. So I guess essentially says one Tennessee school system, and you can't have, you know, a separate but equal somewhere else.
Yeah, I think a lot of the challenges the ACLU has filed will fail for the same reasons they've failed in other states. But we have a constitutional requirement that you have one public school system, and having a separate but equal system for blacks and whites would not pass constitutional muster. Passing a separate but unequal system of private schools and public schools, with the private schools subsidized with taxpayer money, I think does give a pretty good hook for the courts to hang their hat on and remove it.
And you were not crazy about the voucher program from the jump.
And I support having money follow the kid rather than the kid having to follow the money. But this has been sketchy from the beginning. The fact that the governor and the legislature are not disclosing how much of this money is going to kids who are already in private schools, and the numbers are about 80%, as they have been in other states. If you don't want to be accused of being sketchy, don't act sketchy.
Jasper, you get the last bite at the apple on this one.
You know, and that's true. And for them to still not fully fund public education, but you found money over here to do this program, I think it's a huge issue. You know, and so again, we have people who are crying out for help, saying that we have kids that need help with 3rd grade retention. We have kids that need to have the skill set and the educational fortitude to get a job after, you know, school, or to go to college. You know, whatever path they choose, but you're not fully funding those opportunities, but you find money over here to do, you know, to create another school system that you think they could, you know, maybe
Your argument is actually a part of the lawsuit. It's not like, you know, I mean, that actually is spelled out. They essentially say you are siphoning money away from what's supposed to be our one public school.
At the risk of never being invited back by agreeing with Jasper.
But I agree with you. I agree with you.
Let me point out that you're exactly right. When 80% of this money is going to kids already in private schools, how
What's
does
the
that
point?
improve public schools?
Right. Exactly. Right.
And the ones you're leaving behind are going to be left behind with less resources, and in many cases more dangerous.
And then here we go again. You're gonna be calling for the National Guard, because then you're gonna have a bunch of kids on the street where we can't go get gas because somebody's gonna knock us over the head because they can't get a job.
I've got to squeeze in a commercial break, but we have more to come. We are red hot and coming right back.
It was that nap.
You're watching Fox 17 News, Nashville in Focus.
Former State Representative Robin Smith sentenced to 8 months in prison, a federal prison, for her role in the selling of the mail scheme thing with Glenn Cassett, our former State House Speaker, and Cade Cothran, his former chief of staff. Everybody else in the case got pardoned. Steve, she's now asking for file a motion saying, hey, how about a little less? Does that get you anywhere? I mean, you've already been sentenced.
You're like a kid at Christmas. You can ask for anything. It doesn't mean Santa's going to bring it. The bottom line is I think this judge has taken a pretty harsh position on this. She cooperated, but then didn't really cooperate that much when it got into the trial. And I think the judge is not going to be looking very friendly on saying, okay, I'm going to reduce what I sentenced you to. Her hope is that Trump will decide I gave the boys a pardon. I'm going to give one to the girl.
Do you think the president will do that because he has ignored her requests to this point?
I mean, I'm so sorry. The president is not really fair to women, but I do believe that she should. You know, if the boys got it, I mean, give it to this lady. I mean, you know.
Part of it, though, they were getting ready to have to report.
Yeah,
and she has more time. They haven't even scheduled her report date.
So, I mean, hey, I mean, it's 7 months, right? It's not that much.
8.
I mean, 8 months.
Yeah.
My big thing is she pleaded guilty.
Yeah.
I think that's what changes everything here, and I think that's what the judge is going to look upon.
Yeah, she accepted responsibility if you look at it in that way. Jess, do you think she's going to get less time? What are they saying on the Hill?
I don't know. I've been out of town this week, so I've missed.
Okay,
I've missed all this. I was, I was in D.C. this week, meeting in the House and uninvited to the White House. But we.
Mom Donnie
made it. Yeah. Mom Donnie made it the following day, right? Yeah.
You came home too early.
Right. I came home too early, but as I was saying before, she pled guilty, so she admitted to doing wrong, and I think that's the difference there. That's one of the differences, other than they were about to have to report, but she did admit to doing wrong, and it's hard to say, hey, I'm a part. You admit it, you did something. So
let's shift gears really quickly. Cameron Sexton, our House Speaker, said something nice about Nashville's mayor the other day. Actually thanked him for brokering the deal to get TPAC on the East Bank. Are the state and Metro, is that a sign their relations are warming? You have a raised eyebrow.
I guess it means that the kids are learning how to play in the playground. So it's nice that they were able to get this deal. I was totally surprised about it because I thought that this was dead in the water, and it's nice to see that they were able to get this and move it forward. Selling the property for the old TPAC, so we look forward to having a new place to go for performing arts.
What are your thoughts? I mean, you've got the mayor talking, I guess, in a nice way, and the House Speaker, and they've been feuding. So this is, I don't know, seems like a thaw.
I think it's like they found a gray zone, right? It's not political. It's about the arts. How do we make it better for all of Nashville? And I really like what I think Freddie did a good job, the mayor Freddie did a good job at negotiating of hey, we need to have at least 30 days a year where it's open for the education for the kids to come.
He brokered the deal himself, too.
I think that's a great thing. And I think that's why Cameron Sexton, brought it up and said this is great.
Appreciate you doing this. Guys, I got less than a minute.
Cameron and Freddie getting along, Donald Trump inviting New York City Mayor-elect Mom Donnie to the White House, dogs and cats sleeping together. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yes, well, you get the final word after that.
I think it's a great thing. It's a great thing for the city. It's a great thing for the state. We'll see what else, comes down the road.
At the time I've got left, let's see. 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles appointed chair of the House Homeland Security and Cybersecurity Committee. And Gary Humble is dropping out of the state Senate race. He was going to challenge Jack Johnson for his seat down in Franklin. Of course, Johnson is the Speaker of the Senate. A couple of little headlines there for you. Stay tuned to this show every week. You will remain politically informed. That is our time. I'll see you next week.